Alrighty, hello to the two ladies who watch my channel and the multitude of males who also watch the channel. So, GW, just when you think you're out, they pull you back in again. Just when I thought I was done ranting about them, here we go again. There's a few things I wanted to mention, just as I'm going through this statement. Games Workshop have increased their prices once more. And I'm going to read their statement and I'm going to tell you what I agree with and what I don't as we're going through the statement. In general, well, do you know what? Let's just read the statement, shall we? Games Workshop are increasing their prices, and let's just read the statement. Bear in mind, they increased the prices during the pandemic, and now they're going up again because people will tell me that the entire world is getting more expensive, energy costs, things like that, blah blah blah. I don't agree. I agree that all those things are going up. I don't agree they have as much of an impact on Games Workshop. And we've seen their accounts, by the way. I showed them to you on this channel. I do not agree that they are having as much an effect on Games Workshop that they need to pass on that rising price to the customer. Right? But anyway. So, what they begin with this statement, look, they begin with the fucking sympathy vote first. Important pricing news. You can hardly pick up a newspaper or see a headline today without the mention of rising costs. Electricity, gas, raw materials, shipping. Inflation is abroad in the land, and we're not immune to its effects. So, leading with the sympathy, give us sympathy. So, regrettably, we'll be increasing prices a little. One thing I would like to applaud is the communication. That's one thing I would like to applaud of Games Workshop. It would be very easy for them to just quietly bump up the prices and say, fuck you, just buy it. We know you're going to buy it anyway, right? It'd be very easy for them to do that. So it's very important that we sit back and we applaud Games Workshop for doing this, at least, and giving us some forewarning. In many cases, this will be, and again, this says in many cases, so a few people now have told me it's only going up by 5%, what's the big deal? Number one, no, it's not just going up by 5%. In most cases, it's going up by 5%, but a lot of other things is going up by a lot more than that. So, let me just take a drink of water. Oh, being on a diet sucks. In most cases, it's going up 5%, but in other cases, it's going to go up quite more than that, up to 20%. It's going up in certain other cases, all right? So, and the second thing I wanted to note on that is these are the same people who will say, oh, it's only going up by 5%, just buy it, whatever, dude, it's fine. And then a few months later, when it goes up another 5%, they'll say, oh, it's just 5%, dude, whatever, it's fine. And then a couple of years down the line, they'll be going, oh my god, it's a squad of intercessors for £105. God, dude, it's a niche hobby. Get behind it, it's fine. You know what? Yeah, go fuck yourself. That's ridiculous. And opinions like that are the reason why we're gutted our wallets are mined for as much cash as possible. Those are the kinds of people who have ruined FIFA for everybody. Because they keep buying these stupid packs that aren't actually worth anything, that drive gambling into sports games that I used to enjoy. Fuck yourself. Anyway, unless you subscribe to me, then, you're a lovely person, but we're going to respectfully disagree on this one. So, in many cases, that would be about 5%. So, as an example of what you can expect on most kits, a box of Space Marine Intercessors will go up from just £1, from £35 to £36, with an asterisk next to it. Or local currency equivalent, okay. A few things are going up to about 10%. Right, here we go. Examples, books, scenery, resin, miniatures. So if you liked anything from Forge World, oh, are you in for a good time? And there are a couple of outliers. Example, Blood Bowl, teams, and metal miniatures, which are going up around 20%. 20%. Right? So that oh my good lord. So that say you get a, let's call a Blood Bowl team £20. Really good value for money, yeah? Well, still a rip-off, but it's a really good value for money in terms of Games Workshop's pricing, right? That's going up 20%. Right? It's now £24. So, yeah, enjoy that. The price change will come into effect on the 7th of March. We're writing this now because we wanted to give you as much notice so you can take advantage of the current prices. Thank you! Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to come and give you more business before you gut my wallet even more. Thank you. That's so kind of you, Games Workshop. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to come and give you money. God, you are fucking cretins at times. There are 2 bits of good news. Oh, fucking hell. Okay. Right. There's a heap of things we've been able to keep at the same price. There are... Okay, what are they? What are they? We were talking about transparency enough. Okay, what are they? Let's do it. There are certain currencies which won't be changing any prices. I am willing to admit, and if I do have Australian subscribers, if your prices change, please let me know. Because I'm not going to check every day, and you guys live there. Because I'm hoping to God that these ridiculous increases do not affect you. Because that would be the height of bullshit, but I wouldn't be surprised. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. But I'm holding out hope that the absolute chads in Australia and New Zealand and places like that who go out and they buy models, even though they're ripped off most of the time, aren't going to suffer from these price increases. So, we understand that no one likes a price rise, no fucking shit, and so we've done our best to minimise any changes and to keep the things you use every day, paint, etc., at their current levels, and to make sure. It means they've tried their best. That's what they're saying. They're not saying that the prices haven't gone up. Right? That's what people keep saying to me. Well, the prices are still the same. No, they're not. The prices, the paints most likely will not be the same price. Right? Said we've done our best to minimise any changes and keep the things you use every day, paint, etc., at the current levels. They've done their best, guys. That's like Royal Mail saying they did an attempted delivery. You've all seen the Lee Evans joke, right? Of the postman trying to get to the post box, but he just can't, so he just gets back in the van and drives off, right? They tried, guys, but at the end of the day, it's the economics, blah, blah, whatever. So, and to make sure that it remains easy to get started with Warhammer, we work to exclude most starter sets from the ranges. I'm telling you now, the most expensive starter sets are going up in price. Do you remember what I said to you the other week, or probably last week, about regular customers and how they don't want you in the hobby? Yeah. They're freezing prices for a while on starter sets. You can go in and buy starter sets if you want, but you're going to be wasting your money because there's a lot of armies in there that you don't want. Right? The starter sets are for starters. They're for recruitment. They're not for you. Right? So, what's not going up in price? All right? Paints, brushes. Okay, let's see. Paints in there. What kind of paints? Spray paints? Normal paints? Acrylics? Inks? Tell us. What? There's a lot of language in here that they can just sidestep and go, well, we meant Caldor Sky. When we said paints aren't going up in prices, we meant Caldor Sky. Oh, you mean all the blues? No, just Caldor Sky. They're just brushes, paint sets, tools. The majority of starter sets, basically the starter sets, right? And excluded currencies. Okay, brilliant. So the Australian dollar is there, New Zealand dollar is there, Japanese yen is there, and China is there. No surprise there. That's it. That's all they've got to say. I'm going to take another drink of water before I really break this apart. One sec. Alrighty. So, this isn't good news, and I really, really hate it when people try and spin it as this is a good thing or they're doing a good thing for you. They're trying to spin it as if a price increase is good. And I've seen actual people, actual human beings who say that they're hobbyists backing this up. We've just seen the accounts. We've seen the obscene numbers that Games Workshop are pulling in. They've just had one of their record-breaking years, right? Just last year, right? During the pandemic. This is the same company who gutted your wallet because they knew you were a captive audience during the pandemic. And so what did they do? They upped the fucking prices because they knew you could go nowhere else. Right? Right? It was there. They had an opportunity to do something good for you during the pandemic, and they did the reverse of that. They did the exact opposite of that. They gorged your wallet. So don't come to me and say, oh, well, you know, times are hard. No, they're not. For Games Workshop, they're not. We've seen literal proof on this channel. We've looked at the accounts. Times are not hard for Games Workshop. They have had an astounding year, considering it's no longer the pandemic. So everything's going to come down a little bit in terms of revenue. They stayed remarkably stable. Like they went down a little bit, but I was expecting a much bigger hit after the pandemic and everyone goes back to work. I really was, and they didn't. They took a little bit of a hit, but that was it. They're still in any other year. Last year would have been a record-breaking year, right? For Games Workshop. So don't give me the absolute nonsense of times are hard. They're not hard for Games Workshop. I'm sorry. Games Workshop could lower their prices by 30%, and they would make a ludicrous amount of money. A ludicrous amount of money. I've only recently done a video on 3D printing. And by the way, I want to clarify my thoughts about 3D printing. I use the term 20 years, as in, I don't think 3D printing will be there in terms of technology available to everybody for 20 years, as a jumping off point for discussion, right? In reality, it's probably going to be like 10 years, I reckon. 10 to 15, maybe, right? And what I mean by that is, it's going to take that long for every single hobbyist in the hobby to have access to 3D printed models that are just as good as Games Workshop, right? Everybody. Not you. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, I've got... Yeah, I don't care what you've got, mate. Like, everybody. Everybody. I know that you have... You say you got this model, you got that model, you got this 3D printer or that printer. Brilliant. You've had the money to go out and spend on it. The £300, £400 it was that you go and spend on it. Right, brilliant. But one, I honestly... Like, look... It's people's opinion, but when I've ever looked at 3D printed models from really good 3D printers, I look at them and I go, that's not a Games Workshop model within a few seconds, even when it's painted. So I don't see how people are getting these NASA level 3D printers, right? Maybe we're just seeing different things, maybe you have different opinions, that's all grand. But at the moment, it's going to take that long for 3D printers to be in every home. And if not in every home, accessible enough so everybody can call their mate and say, hey man, do you mind printing off 30 intercessors for me? Yeah, sure, dude, no problem. And then they do it, right? So, why I brought that up is because the only thing that I can see is that's going to stop bullshit like this. And I really want 3D printing to get better quicker. Because the only way we're going to stop seeing bullshit like this is for 3D printing to take over. I'm not just take over. I don't want 30. I don't want 10 models of exactly the same intercessor printed out. I want a sprue, right? I want companies to come in with sprues and say, no. We're not going to give you the same model 10 times. No. We're going to give you, posed models. You can pose them however you want using a 3D printer. That's the level I want to be at. And I want to be able to look at that model and not being able to distinguish it between this and Games Workshop. Because anything less, and it won't work. Anything less, and people would try and stick with Games Workshop because it takes out all the stress, right? They don't need to go and buy a... People are much more afraid of paying for stuff up front with a big lump sum than they are paying in little increments. It's much easier to get £1,000 out of somebody by charging them £50 a month than it is to get £400 out of somebody up front. It just is, right? It's a lot easier. Look at any... We have economists, actually. Comment in the comments below, like, if you agree with me on that one. Because I've spoken to... I've got friends who are in the economy. They work for corporations like Tesco, people like that. It's far easier to market these things as a, pay over the next couple of months. That's why people like Klarna and people like that are in business, right? They let you pay things off as you go, because it's a lot easier to get somebody to do that than it is to actually just pay up the lump sum and get it out the way. So, I think this is terrible. I think this is awful, and I'm sick of them doing this. I'm sick of them using any excuse to take the fucking piss, and it's getting right up my nose. I will continue to buy from people like Wayland Games. I'll continue to buy from people like Element Games. I don't buy models from Games Workshop directly. I just don't see the point. I don't have a Games Workshop store that I'm attached to emotionally that want to help out. So I go and buy my models elsewhere, and and if I can get them on eBay or whatever, then fine, as long as they're on Sprue. But like, honest to God, I just cannot stand the fact that they've done this again. I didn't see it coming. Maybe I should have. I thought, I thought they're never going to try the pandemic thing again. Because they raised prices in the pandemic, saying everything was harder to get hold of. They'll never do it again because we're all feeling the pinch, and they're not feeling the pinch because their accounts are public, so we know they're not feeling the pinch. They're not going to try that again. They fucking did, and they have. And on March the 7th, you're paying 5 to 20% more for your models. Brilliant, brilliant. And if you defend this, right, then I want to see what your opinion is in a few years' time when a box of Primaris intercessors that are noted here won't cost £36, they'll cost £50. Because times are hard, don't you know? Times are hard. And Games Workshop are really struggling for money and, fuck off. Right, that's my opinion on the price increases that have been going on. Honestly, I'm disappointed, guys. I'm very, very, very disappointed. I wish I could give you better news. Honestly, I really do. I wish I could sit here and do a nice video about Games Workshop. And you know me on this channel, I always try to I call it right down the middle. I'm a centrist in life. I'm not right or left in politics. I go right down the middle and I pick the best ideas from each side. And I say, this is what I want to do, right? Because I believe going on either side makes you a bit of a moron. Because like you're blind to the other half, You don't have an open mind. And everybody that I know who's pretty cool is right of center or left of center, rather than being like wah, And I'm the same with Games Workshop, exactly the same. I will call it right down the middle. If I see Games Workshop doing something great, I will come out and say it. If I see them doing something terrible, I'll come out and say it. I've literally just done a video on why the hobby's so cool. In every single video that is about a store in particular, I will tell you and ask you to go and support your local store if your manager's a good one. If your manager's a good one, go and support him or her. But when shit like this happens, it just makes my teeth itch. It really does. And the only thing I can say is, they could have done this under the radar and they didn't. That's the only saving grace here. They could have done this way under the radar and just ignored you. And you know what? Games Workshop 15 years ago probably would have done just that. So we are seeing progress in some areas, but this is troubling. And this won't be the last one. I don't think this will be the last one this year. We're in February. I think there'll be another one. I honestly do. I think towards the end of the year, things will go up again. And I fear for Games Workshop. I don't fear them as a business. They'll always be around because they own the IP. But the only way I can see them fucking things up to the point that the doom mongers among us are right is that they continue with this fallacy of finding excuses to up prices in little increments, right? But they continue to take the fucking piss, is what I'm saying, right? Because that will drive people towards 3D printing, whether the 3D printers are worthy of doing Games Workshop products or not, right? And I might be one of them. Eventually. I might get to a stage. I've already seen some 3D printed models that I really like, that I'm considering picking up and going into and saying, look, I'll go on Etsy and I'll give this guy who made this scanner, this file to go through his printer, I'll give him £10 for this amazing set of 5 models that I can paint and treat as a nice project, rather than giving this company any more money, because I just cannot fathom. I cannot fathom where they get off. I really don't. I just they must think you're all really fucking stupid. That's all I've got to say on that one. They must think you're all really, really stupid. And if you back them up on this, that's how you come across, guys. If you back them up. Because this is like standing in the fucking water and complaining it's hot. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, get out, right? Just get out. Just don't give them your money. Go do 3D printing, or go support Dave from Mini Wargaming. Has done an amazing set of Chaos models that are coming out pretty soon. If you're a Chaos player, you need to be looking at stuff like that, because it's a worthy alternative to Games Workshop. But people like him and products like that are very few and far between, which is why I say 3D printing has a long way to go. People kind of thought that I was having a go at 3D printing. I want 3D printing to succeed. It has to, or we're going to keep getting shit like this. And we deserve so much more. You deserve so much more, because this hobby is amazing. And we're the hobby. They're fucking not. They're not the hobby. They're not the custodians of the hobby. They don't represent the hobby. All they do is just milk it. They milk the udders of the cow. We feed the cow. We give the cow a shelter, right? We make sure the cow has its medication and that it's healthy and sustainable and keeps growing and giving milk. All Games Workshop do is milk those fucking udders. That's all they do. And they never used... And honestly, I remember a time in the early noughties where Games Workshop were the furthest thing from that. Yes, they were populated by a bunch of fucking weirdos. Yes, I know. You know, there were a lot of weird Games Workshop employees at that time. Or just lads, you know. But they represented fun. And whilst it was kind of expensive, they pushed and pushed and pushed to make sure you were having fun. At the very front of the fucking rulebook, it said the number one rule of Warhammer 40,000 is both players have fun. And it's not that anymore. They're not that anymore. They're not custodians of the hobby. That's what I said in my interview for Games Workshop. We are the custodians of the hobby. It's up to us to grow the hobby. Not the business, the hobby. To make sure we're getting more people in that are leaving. And the more we have of shit like this, the more people are going to look at it and go, are they taking the piss? Are they seriously taking the piss? I've told you guys before, one of my favourite anecdotes from working at Games Workshop, when I was asking them, hey, if someone comes into my store and robs a box set of like Dark Imperium or something and runs out, should I chase them? And they looked horrified. And my trainer was horrified, going, no, don't chase them. What are you doing? Like, no, just let them go. I said, well, why? He goes, and he said to me, do you know what's more expensive? What do you think is more expensive? The box the models come in, or the models to make? And I said, the models. He goes, no, the box. The box is worth more than the models inside. And yeah, £105, please. £110, please. 130. I'm fine with a niche product being expensive. Don't get me wrong. I'm not fine with people taking the piss and treating you all like a bunch of whales, a bunch of milk giving cows, right? I'm just, I have nothing else to say. Not happy. I think it's a disgrace, and thank you for showing me the accounts. By the way, I'm not going to mention them on here because it doesn't want to be mentioned. But you know who you are. Thank you for sharing them with me, because that's a lot of context for me to have. With that in mind, and the sheer amount of profit being made, go fuck yourself, Games Workshop. You could drop prices by 30% and you still be rolling in cash. In fact, you'd probably make more money because people are like, oh my god, this company's listened to us and lowered the prices. Let's all go buy all of their models, right? And guys, and it'd be sustainable as well. Anyone says it isn't, it would be. It would be. You would just invite more and more and more people into the hobby doing it that way, but they never will. They never will. So, thank you very much, guys, for watching. Wish it was happier news, and that we could all appreciate this hobby together more than we do, and that we would have people who represent the hobby actually backing us and not gouging us every opportunity, taking away all the things that we love, like Brother Alpha Booster and all things like that. I wish that they were better, and they're not. So, you know, thank you very, very much for watching, guys. Have a lovely evening, and I'll speak to you next time. Have a good one.